Welcome back to the Retro Horror Academy. My name is Daniel Richardson, and today we're going to be looking at the year in horror 1950. Guys, we made it to a new decade. Unfortunately, right now, though, the world of horror is kind of dry. In fact, we have no movies to rank for 1950. However, we will have the largest horror Hall of Fame inductee class that we've had so far, with 6 entrances going in. So yeah, let's. But you know what? Let's talk a little bit what the state of horror right now. The fact that we got nothing going on kind of leads to this next little bit here. Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff, and Lon Chaney Jr. It's around this time that they are almost exclusively working for a lot of low-budget B movies and B movie studios. And again, that's just kind of the fallout from the fact that horror is kind of dried up and has died, and we're at the end of the cycle right now. So these guys are no longer rocking it at the top at Universal or even Fox or whatever. They're moving on to B movies, so we got to look forward to. But enough about that. Let's get into our Horror Hall of Fame. Again, we got 6 inductees, so let's go ahead and just hit them up. First, we have Michael Curtiz. He was a Hungarian director. He was one of the most prolific directors, in Hollywood. He directed, movies from the silent era all the way up through the golden age of Hollywood. He would actually end up going over and directing like over 150 films throughout his lifetime. He was a winner of 2 Oscars, with one of them being Casablanca. He's also credited a lot with kind of influencing the visual style of Hollywood at this time. Just the way he was doing his camera movements and everything else, it really kind of would influence the future generations. And he was a guy who apparently could direct any genre. As you know, I mean, the guy is on our Horror Hall of Fame, but he also got an Oscar, so proof of that. Unfortunately, there is a bit of a blemish on his personal career. Apparently, 25 horse deaths on the set of The Charge of the Light Brigade. Apparently, I don't know what happened. I didn't quite go through the whole story, but apparently just the way animals were treated back then was really bad. And anyways, after 25 deaths on one film, him and his lead actor Earl Flynn got into it, and this would actually lead to the government kind of stepping in and making basically the work sets safer for animals. So some good did come out of that, actually. Not saying he should get praise for that, because clearly it's on his watch. That is kind of his fault. But at the same time, at least now it's what led to more restrictions when it comes to animals. As far as non-horror films, the biggies he directed was Captain Blood, The Adventures of Robin Hood, Angels with Dirty Faces, Casablanca, and Yankee Doodle Dandy. Some horror films that we did not cover that he directed was Dracula's Death, Alaron, and The Mad Genius. However, on this show, we know him as the director of Dr. X, Mystery of the Wax Museum, and The Walking Dead. Yes, he's a fine addition into the Horror Hall of Fame. With those three alone, he nailed it. In fact, we recently just released my top 10 horror films that we've covered up until now. So everything from 1949 back, did my top 10, and The Walking Dead was on there. I love that film. I thought it was a damn good movie. So yeah, he definitely deserves a spot here. Up next, we have Lou Landers, American director. I think the only thing we didn't cover that was kind of big that he did in the world of horror, he did the first Inner Sanctum movie. However, on this show, we know him as the director of The Man Who Laughs, The Raven. He would go on to do The Boogeyman Will Get You, and The Return of the Vampire. Much like Michael Curtiz, one of his movies is in my top 10. The Raven. Thought it was incredible. Easily, well, The Invisible Ray's higher, but as far as like the Lugosi Karloff pairings, The Raven's high up there, man. Big fan of it. And so, yeah, I mean, just for that alone, it gets this guy into the Hall of Fame. But, clearly he's a hell of a director and has, gave so much to the genre. Up next, we have Roy William Neill. He's an Irish director. And actually, he's going to be more known for being the producer and director of most of the Basil Rathbone Sherlock Holmes movies for Universal. He unfortunately would pass away in 1946. The only horror film that he, directed that we did not cover on the show was The Ninth Guest. However, we know him on this show for Black Moon, The Black Room, and Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. Again, he was the first one to do one of these Monster Rally, or as I like to call them, the Monster Mash movies. And yeah, his legacy is secure. But of course, with Black Moon and The Black Room, he's good as well. So, up next we have Maureen O'Sullivan, Irish actress, definitely best known as Jane from the Tarzan series. She would move to Hollywood shortly after high school, and she would actually be a big-time actress. She would be in films such as The Thin Man, Anna Karenina, A Day at the Races, personal favorite of mine, and Pride and Prejudice. And she's the mother of actress Mia Farrow, which we know she'll definitely be a future Hall of Famer herself. But she's a bit of a one-hit wonder. The only thing we know her from on this show is The Devil Doll. However, when you got a chance to add some Hollywood royalty into your Horror Hall of Fame, hey, we've had plenty of one-hit wonders that's, reached less heights than Maureen O'Sullivan, so I have no problem adding her to our Horror Hall of Fame. Up next, Edward Von Sloan. Van Sloan? I think it's Von Sloan. Anyways, American actor. He's known for, a lot of his roles in the Universal horror films, but most notably, Van Helsing. Of course, the movies we did not cover that he was in was The Phantom Creeps, Boo, and Airhawks. However, on this show, we know him for Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy, The Black Room, Dracula's Daughter, Before I Hang, and The Monster and the Girl. Yes, it's another guy who, acted so much, gave us so much to the horror community. Was in a lot of, memorable horror films from this era. But come on, he's Van Helsing. He was already a made man. I mean, we got Dracula's nemesis right there. Oh yeah, you go Van Helsing, baby. And finally, we got, hope I don't butcher his name, Miguel Zaccaris, Mexican director, producer, and writer. We know him on this show as the director behind El Burro Macabro, or The Macabre Trunk. Good director, one of the few out of Mexico who was producing horror films at this time. So definitely deserves his spot up here for blazing the trail for our Mexican brothers south of the border. So there you guys have it. Do a quick recap of our Horror Hall of Fame. This inducting class of 1950 is Michael Curtis, Lou Landers, Roy William Neal, Maureen O'Sullivan, Edward Van Sloan, and Miguel Zaccaris. So guys, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. This has been 1950 in the year of the horror. Thanks for listening. On behalf of the Retro Horror Academy, my name is Daniel Richardson, and you're dismissed.